Yo, what's going on? Welcome to the Risen Fallen podcast. I'm your host, Mark Henriksen, and if you have not heard this podcast before, what you can expect is an open and authentic conversation about things like mental health, self-development, and how to get your life back on track and get it into a direction that you're feeling good about, feeling proud of, feeling like you're moving in the right direction. And if you have listened to this podcast before, if you're a returning listener, then thank you very much for coming back and showing support, showing love, and showing your smiles if I see you regularly. And so whether you're brand new to this podcast or you're a returning listener, no matter what it is, you are the reason that I do what I do. Yes, you. Listen to this right now. Welcome to the show. Happy fucking Thursday. I hope your week's going well. We're inching closer and closer to Christmas every single day that goes by. I hope you're doing well, and I hope that these holiday seasons are bringing you joy. I hope they're bringing back some good memories, and if they're bringing back some bad memories, then I hope you sit with those memories and figure out why it is that you still have those memories and why they're lurking around in your brain still, why they might be haunting you. And I remember Jordan Peterson did an interview on Lex Friedman's podcast, which is really sick. You should go and check it out after you listen to this whole episode, obviously. But they were talking about memories that might be haunting you. And he said that if a memory has been haunting you of an event that happened more than 18 months ago, then there's a part of you that still hasn't developed or grown past that memory. And so it's probably good to dive into what it is that's haunting you still and, preventing you from growing past that. There's still a childlike version of you that's still living in that moment. And that's something that I want to get into today. You might have noticed as well, I got a little tape on my finger if you're watching the video version of this. That is because at work today, I pinched my finger in a nail gun as I was taking some nails out of it and then reloading it with some bigger nails. And if you remember from like 2 years ago, I actually shot a nail through this finger right here. So that makes it the score nail gun 2 mark 0. Very, very embarrassing defeat. So hoping to settle the score with that nail gun pretty soon. But before I get into that, or I guess instead of getting into that, let me jump into the story that I wanted to tell you guys today. Something that, comes up around the holiday season for me. It's a silly story, but it's still something that haunts me to this day. And it's something that I'm going to share with you guys because I actually journaled about it last night. It was something I was thinking about, and I wanted to share the story and then share a couple of the things that I was journaling about last night to show you guys kind of the way that I reflect on these things and try and grow past them and try and kind of work through this childlike energy or this kind of embarrassment or sometimes regrets, etc., whatever it could be when you think about events from your past that you're not very proud of. So, I want you to jump into my mind for a second. This is a story, an event that happened to me. It's kind of something that I guess I happened to other people in this story, but basically I want you to jump into my mind here. I am probably around 6 years old at the time. I'm a young kid. I'm going to visit my aunt and uncle and my cousins on Christmas, and I'm pretty much, stoked. I'm excited. I'm pretty greedy at this time of my life, mostly because I had a little bit of I wouldn't say a spoiled childhood, but I was a little bit of a shit disturber, and as you've heard stories about me and my childhood in the past, I was definitely, I felt like I didn't fit in. I felt like I was like kind of weird, and I guess I fucking am. But, I was consistently trying to be, center of the show, cooler or seem older than I am, like a lot of young fucking people do. And so I was very outspoken, and I kind of wore a mask publicly in front of a lot of people because I wanted to, like I said, maybe seem like I wasn't as anxious as I was or as depressed as I was. I wanted to show people like, yeah, I can be happy and I can be outspoken, and look at me, I'm this cool guy. And so I'm probably like 6 at the time of this story. And so I go over to my aunt and uncle's house for Christmas. We are exchanging gifts. Obviously, I don't have much to give. I'm just looking to get, like many kids at Christmas time. I'm like, give me those presents. I want some new toys. I want some cool shit. And so we're all unwrapping our presents, and me being the self-centered kid that I was, I wasn't really, paying attention to what other people were getting. I was just focused on getting my gifts, getting that bag, opening it up, and I unwrapped a Bob the Builder gift from, I believe, my aunt, and I'm not very fired up about it. I'm like, man, this is for kids younger than me. I was kind of embarrassed. I kind of didn't like the gift. And instead of, being gracious and being happy and being polite and saying thank you and giving her a hug, I go on to complain to my parents about being disappointed about the gift. And I do that in front of everybody. I basically just out my aunt and say, I don't like this gift. And, I was extremely ungrateful. And so I pretty much probably embarrassed, my parents, my aunt, my uncle, probably my siblings, probably my cousins, and myself. And, reflecting back on this, it's a really shitty moment for me because, and it's funny the things that impact us. It's funny the things that when I say this story out loud, it's funny to explain it and say that this is still something I think about to this day because it was probably 20 fucking years ago, yet it still fucking rings in my memory. And it just goes to show that you never know how much different moments are going to impact different people so deeply that they think about it decades after. But that's rather here nor there. Essentially what happens is, I'm ungrateful and, it's an embarrassing moment for everybody. I don't know, if even anybody that was at that event still remembers this whole thing happening, but I do because it's something that I'm embarrassed of and I feel guilty about. And so it just goes to show that you never know how much different events are going to impact people differently, or what, what's going to be a lasting memory for other people when it really comes back to haunt you, in your memories, in your mind, right? And so I'm sitting there and I'm kind of thinking about this event happening last night because I was thinking about Christmas and then this memory popped into my brain. And at first I'm sitting there thinking, I'm journaling about how ungrateful I was, how spoiled I was, how greedy I was, how, ungrateful and unthankful, not thankful. And I continue to journal about this, and it kind of becomes like a little bit of a self-loathing. I'm kind of like not stoked about my behavior. I'm not stoked about the way I was thinking, the way I thought back then, and I was kind of just beating myself up for it. And as I'm sitting there writing about it, I'm kind of starting to feel worse about it, and I'm like, okay, this is something that I need to dive deeper into. And so I start diving into it deeper and deeper, and I'm trying to think about why I was acting that way, what kinds of things I might have been dealing with at the time, or what kinds of things I might have been thinking at the time. But then I started to write about things, about lessons that I could pull or extract from this situation, or my feelings towards them still in the present. And I literally wrote down, moving forward, I will use this negative experience to fuel my gratitude for gifts that I'm given by others and by my creator, and, gifts that are both physical and also metaphysical, things that are just opportunities like having fucking life today. And I started to write about, how essentially I wanted to think back at this memory where I was being ungrateful and I was being kind of a little bit selfish and greedy. And I wanted to use that as a reminder, this negative feeling, this negative emotion that I'm feeling, this pit in my stomach of regret, to fuel me to remind myself, to be more grateful, to have more gratitude, to give thanks to people when they give you something, whether it's something that you expect or not. Because if you are ungrateful or unreceiving and you're not tolerating kind of or receiving a gift from somebody because you don't receive gifts well, you're robbing that person of the experience of being able to give you what they think you're going to enjoy. And you're closing opportunities for that in the future because, when we give people things, we're a giving species. Of course, there's selfish, self-centered people out there. But at the end of the day, most of us feel good when we give somebody something, especially when we think, hey, this is going to make that person happy. And we feel good when we give it to them. But if we are not good at receiving gifts from people or the universe or whatever you want to say, I like to talk about person-to-person contact. But if you're not good at receiving gifts from people and you don't let them give to you, you're actually robbing them of the opportunity of feeling good. And so I wanted to remind myself with this event to be a lot more grateful and be able to receive gifts with grace and to be able to say thank you for, gifts, whether I truly love them or not, but to dive deeper into that and actually love gifts for the act of giving and not for what I'm receiving or what I value what I'm receiving. And then the other side of this is not to just be more grateful and have more gratitude and to be, able to receive gifts better, but to also have more patience for others when they act like this, whether it's a child or an adult, because I understand what it feels like to be ungrateful. And I understand, I can remember that feeling, and it's, looking back, it's something that I regret. And I think that most rational people can look back at a time when they were ungrateful and they probably regret that as well. It's embarrassing. You feel bad. You feel like you're not worthy of what you're getting now in this world because you were ungrateful before. And so, I wanted to remind myself not to just be more grateful, but to have more patience for people when they're being ungrateful because I can definitely foresee a future where, that's my child that's being ungrateful or somebody that I love or, a friend of mine or anything like that. Like, to be able to have more patience and more tolerance and more love when someone else around me is also displaying these behaviors that I'm embarrassed about because, if I were to put my money on it, I can say that, perhaps in the future, they're going to look back at that and they're going to be embarrassed. And so I want to be able to show them grace as well and to be able to remind myself like, hey, see yourself in these people that are annoying you today because you've been like that in the past and you'll probably be like that in the future. The things that irritate you about these people that are around you, whether it is that they're ungrateful or they're rude or they're outspoken and they're speaking about things that you don't agree with or you don't like or you think are damaging, remember that you're going to do that in the future and you've done that in the past as well. And so to be able to see yourself in these people and to have more tolerance and grace for them and understand that you're going to come across these people. Right? These are people that you're going to come across on a day-to-day basis, and just remember that you've been that person before. And so if you're going to get mad at anybody, get upset with yourself and then fucking journal about it, write it down and get past that shit so you can have more gratitude and show others the same grace that you hope that you'll receive when you act like a fucking dickhead in the future. Because we're all bound to do it. We're human. We're flawed. And so that was kind of, like I said, an experience that I had a long, long fucking time ago that still impacts me to this day. But I wanted to share also my experience of journaling about this experience and, how I'm trying to move past that now and to learn a little bit more from it so that I can make my present self and my future self, hopefully, a little bit better one step at a time. And I think that if you truly want to love yourself and the people around you, this is 100% necessary to be able to reflect back on things that give us negative emotions that hurt us when we dive deep into them, and then figure out why they're impacting us the way that they are. And I think that unless you're willing to do that deep inner work, you're never going to love yourself. And if you can't love yourself, then you're never going to be able to truly love somebody else. And that's going to manufacture a very miserable life. And so I just wanted to give you guys this little story of mine. Take from it what you will. I hope you're doing well. This weekend, obviously, we're going to have another meetup with the Risen Fallen group. And so if you want to come down for a little hikey hike or a little walky walk or a little coffee break, reach out to me and join the fucking group. Join the chat. If we don't meet up in person, we'll be having a Zoom call. So message me on Instagram for details on that at Risen Fallen. And if you want to support the group, like I said, all these in-person meetups, we do have the merch going as well. So we got hoodies and tees you can check out at risenfallen.com. Other than that, that's the story. That's the experience. That's what I learned from it. That's the housekeeping that I've been doing this week. Hope you're doing well. We're very fucking close to Christmas at this point. It is only a few days away. And so I just realized that we're probably not going to do the meetup this week. We'll probably do a Zoom call, but we are just a few days away from Christmas. And so I wanted to give you guys this reminder to reflect, to look back at your life, to see what it is that you could be grateful for this holiday season, what you think you could do better, and what you think you need to be more patient with in those around you. And understand, if you're going to have some family dinners, you're probably going to be surrounded by people that frustrate you a little bit sometimes, to say the least. And so just to remember to have patience for those people and show them grace when they do step on your fucking nerves. And be grateful that you get to breathe and live and be able to love and see them another day. Because you never know when that opportunity will be taken from you. So that's all I got for today. Hope you're doing well. Merry fucking Christmas. I'll talk to you guys on Monday. Much love and peace out, you beautiful fucking human beings. I love you all.